This is Chapter 62 of Following the Equator. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Following the Equator by Mark Twain, Chapter 62. Sail from Calcutta to Madras, thence to Ceylon, thence for Mauritius. The Indian Ocean. Our captain's peculiarity. The Scot has one, too. The flying fish that went hunting in the field. Fined for smuggling. Lots of pets on board. The color of the sea. The most important member of nature's family. The captain's story of cold weather. Omissions in the ship's library. Washing decks. Pajamas on deck. The cat's toilet. No interest in the bulletin. Perfect rest. The Milky Way and the Magellan Clouds. Mauritius. Port Louis. A hot country. Under French control. A variety of people and complexions. Train to Curepipe. A wonderful office-holder. The wooden peg ornament. The prominent historical event of Mauritius. Paul and Virginia. One of Virginia's wedding gifts. Heaven copied after Mauritius. Early history of Mauritius. Quarantines. Population of all kinds. What the world consists of. Where Russia and Germany are. A picture of Milan Cathedral. Newspapers. The language. Best sugar in the world. Literature of Mauritius. There are no people who are quite so vulgar as the over-refined ones. Pudd'nhead Wilson's New Calendar. We sailed from Calcutta toward the end of March, stopped a day at Madras, 2 or 3 days in Ceylon, then sailed westward on a long flight for Mauritius. From my diary: April 7. We are far abroad upon the smooth waters of the Indian Ocean now. It is shady and pleasant and peaceful under the vast spread of the awnings, and life is perfect again, ideal. The difference between a river and the sea is that the river looks fluid, the sea solid, usually looks as if you could step out and walk on it. The captain has this peculiarity: he cannot tell the truth in a plausible way. In this he is the very opposite of the austere Scot who sits midway of the table. He cannot tell a lie in an unplausible way. When the captain finishes a statement, the passengers glance at each other privately, as who should say, "Do you believe that?" When the Scot finishes one, the look says, "How strange and interesting." The whole secret is in the manner and method of the two men. The captain is a little shy and diffident, and he states the simplest fact as if he were a little afraid of it, while the Scot delivers himself of the most abandoned lie with such an air of stern veracity that one is forced to believe it although one knows it isn't so. For instance, the Scot told about a pet flying fish he once owned that lived in a little fountain in his conservatory, and supported itself by catching birds and frogs and rats in the neighboring fields. It was plain that no one at the table doubted this statement. By and by, in the course of some talk about custom-house annoyances, the captain brought out the following simple everyday incident, but through his infirmity of style managed to tell it in such a way that it got no credence. He said: "I went ashore at Naples one voyage when I was in that trade, and stood around helping my passengers, for I could speak a little Italian. 2 or 3 times at intervals the officer asked me if I had anything dutiable about me, and seemed more and more put out and disappointed every time I told him no. Finally a passenger whom I had helped through asked me to come out and take something. I thanked him, but excused myself, saying I had taken a whiskey just before I came ashore. It was a fatal admission. The officer at once made me pay 6 pence import duty on the whiskey just from ship to shore, you see. And he fined me £5 for not declaring the goods, another £5 for falsely denying that I had anything dutiable about me, also £5 for concealing the goods, and £50 for smuggling, which is the maximum penalty for unlawfully bringing in goods under the value of 7 pence halfpenny. Altogether £65 6 for a little thing like that. The Scot is always believed, yet he never tells anything but lies, whereas the captain is never believed, although he never tells a lie, so far as I can judge. If he should say his uncle was a male person, he would probably say it in such a way that nobody would believe it. At the same time the Scot could claim that he had a female uncle, and not stir a doubt in anybody's mind. My own luck has been curious all my literary life. I never could tell a lie that anybody would doubt, nor a truth that anybody would believe. Lots of pets on board, birds and things. In these far countries the white people do seem to run remarkably to pets. Our host in Cawnpore had a fine collection of birds, the finest we saw in a private house in India. And in Colombo, Dr. Murray's great compound and commodious bungalow were well populated with domesticated company from the woods, frisky little squirrels, a Ceylon myna walking sociably about the house, a small green parrot that whistled a single urgent note of call without motion of its beak, also chuckled, a monkey in a cage on the back veranda, and some more out in the trees, also a number of beautiful macaws in the trees, and various and sundry birds and animals of breeds not known to me. But no cat. Yet a cat would have liked that place. April 9. Tea planting is the great business in Ceylon now. A passenger says it often pays 40% on the investment. Says there's a boom. April 10. The sea is a Mediterranean blue, and I believe that that is about the divinest color known to nature. It is strange and fine, nature's lavish generosities to her creatures, at least to all of them except man. For those that fly she has provided a home that is nobly spacious, a home which is 40 miles deep and envelops the whole globe, and has not an obstruction in it. For those that swim she has provided a more than imperial domain, a domain which is miles deep and covers 4/5 of the globe. But as for man, she has cut him off with the mere odds and ends of the creation. She has given him the thin skin, the meager skin which is stretched over the remaining 1/5. The naked bones stick up through it in most places. On the 1/2 of this domain he can raise snow, ice, sand, rocks, and nothing else. So the valuable part of his inheritance really consists of but a single 1/5 of the family estate, and out of it he has to grub hard to get enough to keep him alive and provide kings and soldiers and powder to extend the blessings of civilization with. Yet man, in his simplicity and complacency and inability to cipher, thinks nature regards him as the important member of the family, in fact her favorite. Surely it must occur to even his dull head sometimes that she has a curious way of showing it. Afternoon. The captain has been telling how, in one of his Arctic voyages, it was so cold that the mate's shadow froze fast to the deck and had to be ripped loose by main strength. And even then he got only about 2/3 of it back. Nobody said anything, and the captain went away. I think he is becoming disheartened. Also, to be fair, there is another word of praise due to the ship's library. It contains no copy of the Vicar of Wakefield. That strange menagerie of complacent hypocrites and idiots, of theatrical cheap-John heroes and heroines who are always showing off, of bad people who are not interesting, and good people who are fatiguing. A singular book, not a sincere line in it, and not a character that invites respect. A book which is one long waste-pipe discharge of goody-goody puerilities and dreary moralities, a book which is full of pathos which revolts, and humor which grieves the heart. There are few things in literature that are more piteous, more pathetic, than the celebrated humorous incident of Moses and the Spectacles. Jane Austen's books, too, are absent from this library. Just that one omission alone would make a fairly good library out of a library that hadn't a book in it. Customs in tropic seas. At 5 in the morning they pipe to wash down the decks, and at once the ladies who are sleeping there turn out and they and their beds go below. Then, one after another, the men come up from the bath in their pajamas, and walk the decks an hour or two with bare legs and bare feet. Coffee and fruit served. The ship cat and her kitten now appear and get about their toilets. Next the barber comes and flays us on the breezy deck. Breakfast at 9:30, and the day begins. I do not know how a day could be more reposeful. No motion, a level blue sea. Nothing in sight from horizon to horizon. The speed of the ship furnishes a cooling breeze. There is no mail to read and answer, no newspapers to excite you. no telegrams to fret you or fright you. The world is far, far away. It has ceased to exist for